Oh, hi. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can now.
Oh, good. I've been muted the whole 5 minutes I've been talking.
Whoops. No one told
Hey,
you?
well, nobody's watching, D-Nice.
Oh, okay.
That's how this thing usually works. So,
Well, fair warning. Eric's not home yet, so the dogs are gonna lose their mind when he does. So
oh,
I'll
that's
try to
fine.
mute myself at that point. So if there is
Let
anyone
him
listening,
go.
they don't have to listen to that.
Let him go. I'm guessing mine will go crazy at some point. I just went out back and chased him around the yard and tried to poop him out. I got one sleeping on both sides, but we'll see
I don't
how
think
it
I even
goes.
knew you had dogs.
Yeah. I've got a couple of Bernedoodles.
Mm.
They're I know you're a big hater of the synthetic dog, but
I never said that.
but that's what I got. They're fantastic. They supposedly don't shed. One of them
Yeah.
does shed a little bit, but yeah, they've got cool demeanor and cool attitudes. So I guess I better go back and tell people what I was telling them when I wasn't telling them anything because I was muted. I guess basically I was saying that this is the new look for the show. I'm going to go live with it. I'm not going to edit anything. So whatever happens on the show happens on the show. Lucas was the big editing guy. He loved to do that stuff, or he did that kind of stuff. I don't have the time or the know-how or really the desire to do that. I just want to talk disc golf with fun people and see what's happening and give our perspective on things. And I'll do this as long as it's fun. As soon as it's not fun for me, I'm out of here. So might be tonight, might be 2 weeks, might be 20 years. Who knows?
Right. Well, might as
So
well keep it simple and see what happens.
yes, sir. So, well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Dee? I think there might be some people that watch this that aren't familiar with you. I've known you for, oh my gosh, what? When did you move to
Solid
Kansas?
decade. Been in Kansas a decade now, so
Wow.
all you Kansas folks that I ran into. So, yeah, I've been involved in the sport for 20 years now. And like most people, started real casual. I was living in Southwest Florida at the time, and a buddy of mine picked up the sport and just got our friends group playing it. '09, I moved to upstate New York and went to go work on my undergrad degree. Moved in with my older brother Todd, and got him really into the sport. And that's when we actually started getting involved with the disc golf community and playing leagues. And that led to tournaments. So in 2009 is when I started playing PDGA tournaments. And man, that really like spiraled from there as it tends to happen. We started off, traveling every weekend to go check out new courses and then, playing tournaments every weekend and really getting involved and, just played regionally for a number of years. And then it was 2012 is when Eric and I met, and we met through the sport. And yeah, just kind of spiraled by then. 2013 moved out to Kansas, and we did a lot of traveling, played a lot of big events. Went to Sweden one year. I got to play a lot of big national tour events, couple pro tour events. This is kind of before the pro tours, the pro tour. My one actually fun claim to fame is that I threw the very first shot of the very first pro tour event. It was Maple Hill. The first year it was a pro tour. My card was the first one off, and I was the first one off the tee. So that's kind of a fun little thing. I went for rookie of the year one year and came up just short, didn't get it. Never really got anywhere on tour. I tried to put a lot into it and just, never really got there, but managed to be somewhat decent regionally. So,
Well, and you were
um,
sponsored by Latitude for a long time.
yeah, for 11 years, 11 seasons. Yep. With Latitude 64 and kind of went through, I got on with them right when I started playing open or FPO. And then, through the years, my interest in kind of being a hardcore tournament player waned, and I got more into kind of trying to grow the sport. I've been running a women's league in Emporia. This is our 8th season. It's pretty
Nice.
wild to think about. Yeah, we just play 9 holes at the local pitch and putt, low time commitment. just a fun experience. And I track all their scores and kind of develop their average. And then I just give them prizes if they kind of beat their own average each week. And so that's the kind of league I played when I first started, when I was really starting to get better. And I won. And that was really cool as a newer player because, you know, you're getting better faster because you're developing. And so that's what I try to offer in my women's league. And and I still try to play here and there. This summer, I'm trying to do like at least one tournament a month if I can.
Okay.
And we're about to head off to Alaska, go play Meyer Lake. So
That'll be fun.
never a disappointing time, you know?
Yeah, and you're a big outdoors gal, so that's probably right up your alley. You probably spend as much time wandering in the woods as you do disc golfing, don't you?
Yep, definitely. Yeah, you know, try to get out as much as I can. I feel like my activities change by the season. This time of year, I try to spend a lot of time on the water, either, you know, in the kayak or on the paddle board. And
heck yeah, that's fun stuff. And and you've been, I remember I think you camped out at 1880 one year, Camp Hawk or something. It was just you out there camping.
It was me and Junod. We're the only two people. There are a bunch of people were supposed to camp and no one did. It was just us, and it was fine. We had fun, you know.
Yeah, that's a great place. I miss having that in my backyard. But
I was trying to think of the last time I played disc golf with you, and it was at Camp Hawk. It wasn't 1880 though. It was like the KDGA, maybe the opener.
Kickoff or opener or something. Yeah.
Closer. Yeah, one of those. But that was a handful of years ago.
Yes, ma'am, it was. They're getting ready to get a whole new facelift there, from what I hear.
Oh, yeah?
New baskets, new tee pads, all sorts of stuff. Oh. So.
Hold on. Dog barking break. One sec. You go ahead and talk.
So, yeah, well, you learn a little bit about Denise. She's a great person. She's been I've had a lot of fun with her. One of my favorite memories was we were at the whatever it was in Texas at Tyler, and there was that guy there with the
Piney Woods Open, I think, right?
Yeah, what was that guy's name? Dylan or something? Dylan Vance. He was a Latitude guy. I kept calling him every other name except his real name, and it was just a running joke for you and I the whole weekend as we watched the big boys play. So a little bit about my disc golf adventures. I just played in the Doodah Open. I played an Open. I was outgunned. I was taking a pea shooter to a gunfight. These guys were killing me off of the tee, but somehow I scrapped my way to a third place finish. So I was hoping to get a win, but I'm playing a tournament this weekend in Pratt. In fact, I drove to Pratt this afternoon to check out the course, an hour and 20 minutes. And it has been raining nonstop here for like 3 days. Everything is just swamped. I expected to get there and just see the same thing. This course was mowed. It was trimmed. It was beautiful. I've never seen the place look as good as it does now. I'm super excited to get there and play. We don't have a huge amount of people signed up yet, but I think maybe over the next 2 days, people start flowing in. It's going to be a hot son of a buck though, 90. So
it's been pretty mild summer so far. I mean, we've been kind of, you know, I work in the outdoors, and it's usually suffer season by now, and it's been a pretty mild start to the summer. What's the course you're playing in Pratt for the tournament?
It's May Dennis. It's called the Hot Cold Classic. If you've never been to Pratt, they literally have 2 water towers that you can throw a disc from one to the other. And one of them says hot and the other one says cold.
Okay.
It's complete bullcrap. They're both cold, but
yeah. I did some work in Pratt, and there was one course I went and looked at, and it was very like park style. I didn't have discs, and it was like middle of the summer, and I was doing night surveys, so I just kind of went and like hung out in the park when I wait for the sun to go down. I don't know why I didn't have any discs with me, probably because it was hot, but then there was another park that I would just hang out in, and apparently they set up a really cool temp course there.
Yeah, you were at May Dennis when you were seeing disc golf baskets, and the other course is called Lemon Park.
Okay.
And it's got a nice little creek that runs through it, and just a real pretty park. Baseball field in the middle, but the rest of it's pretty nice. All right, Dee, are you ready to do this?
Yeah. I tried to do my homework, but I'm not good at I'm not good at picking predictions,
Well,
but I'll do
don't
my
worry
best.
about that. That's not happening yet. We got a few things we get to before that. So we always start with what Luke has termed what's popping, what's going on in the world of disc golf. I don't know how much you watch Disc Golf Network, but I'm kind of a nerd and I get stuck watching it when I can. And last week we had a fantastic tournament at the Preserve. The Simon Line presents the Preserve. Did you get to watch any of it?
I did. So I only really watched the women's coverage,
There
and
we go.
not as a not trying to like, put down the guys. It's just that just to watch the women's coverage, it's like 3+ hours of your day, you know? And then by the time like the guys roll around, like Eric might have it on, but I'm doing something else at that point, But I do try to like consume the women's coverage as much as I can, because I do like to keep up with what's going on.
Well, I'm glad you're here for this one because I mean you're exactly the reason I contacted you, because we're getting into a women's major tomorrow, and we'll get to that here in a second. But here's our champion, Silva Saarinen. Played tremendous. Two times in a row, she's beat Kristen, and Kristen had her opportunities to win, to make a run, but 2 weeks in a row, Silva found a way to pull it out. Ronnie thinks Silva's figuring it out. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's cool. I think this was her first win in the US. And she was up against a really good field. And I mean, Kristen's Kristen, and even I think Kristen was like under the weather and has like a broken toe or something. But I don't feel like that's anything that's going to hold Kristen down. I think she still probably, she still did her best. But yeah, I agree. I think Silva's she's gotten past that hump where she's kind of having these scenarios where she doesn't quite get it to happen at the end. And yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. We're going to see some battles with her for sure.
Yeah, I think the All A Open was huge for her, making those big putts down the stretch. I think gave her the confidence to see that if she executes at a high level, Kristen is human and she has nerves too. And normally Kristen just hangs around and lets these gals falter, and she wins by default because she's dadgum good at disc golf as well.
She is so solid. Yeah.
But yeah, she just never mess up. And when she did mess up, she could cover it up. But All A Open was the first time that Silva stepped up to the challenge and really showed what she was made of. And she did it again this week as well. I mean, it was awesome. So you touched on this. The two big stories outside of Silva, the toe. That toe looks sore.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be out there walking a big course with that. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I listened to the press conference on my way to Pratt today, and Terry asked her about her toe, and he said her broken toe, and she said, "I don't know where you heard it was broken, but I've never said that." So that toe looks broken to me.
Yeah,
I'm not a doctor.
I mean, I don't know. They say, if you break your toe, you just tape it to the other toe and go on with it. There's nothing you can do about it anyway. So I'm not saying I'm an expert on what's a broken versus a sprained toe, but it looks pretty jacked up. So either way, can't be comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my only way I can relate to this was when I was a freshman in college. We were screwing around in the dorms. We were having a water gun fight, and I was chasing my buddy, just spraying him down the hall, being real mature, doing things college kids do. And he slammed the door behind him as I went in, and I put my foot in there to stop it. Boom, little toe, just like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in pain, but I was in a lot more pain when I had to go tell the track coach that I wasn't going to the track meet because my toe got slammed in the door.
You messed yourself up doing shenanigans.
You see what Greg's saying?
Oh, the forehand? Is that Greg?
Yeah, it's Greg Renfro. And he's right. Silva doesn't have much of a forehand, and that is the only weakness I think in her game. There's a lot of
Mhm.
people that don't think she throws far. I think she throws good enough to win, obviously.
Yeah, that makes me think of something else that I was kind of thinking about the other day. I was just kind of looking at the PDJ, how everybody finished, and um, one thing, that whole thing of like you have to have a forehand to be well rounded and be competitive in the FPO these days. Not only that, but the ratings, and granted, ratings inflate over time. That's just going to happen as the field grows. But man, I remember when the top women were like 940.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I started paying attention to competitive disc golf probably about like 2010-ish. And that was when it was like Val, the Liz's, the Sarahs, like, and these girls, like 940 was about maxed out. And now, Kristen's 1,000. You see just a ton of women in the 950, 960, 970 range. It's pretty wild to see. It's cool stuff. But that kind of like, goes on that whole thing of just how the game's you know been evolving, and in the past you could get away with being solid with no forehand,
Yeah,
and obviously Silva can still be successful without it. But yeah, I think if she adds that to her arsenal, she'll really be out there taking some tournaments down.
and you're absolutely right. The ratings are flawed. They are getting inflated, but at the same time, if Kristen and Val played on the same course, Kristen would dominate Val.
Mhm. Yeah,
Val
the
was,
skills are getting better too. Like you can't just
oh
say
yeah,
it's inflating. I mean, but we need what else are we going to base things on when
mm-hmm.
everybody's playing different courses every week?
Yeah.
Like there's
Well,
got to be some kind of statistic that we use to like measure a player's skill level. So while they're not perfect, I still think they're representative of what we're seeing in the sport.
absolutely, and they are accurate. I mean, I can come off of a tournament round and talk to somebody, and they can say, "You know that guy."
You can come say hi if you want.
Yeah, yeah,
No, you
absolutely,
don't want
absolutely. But I think ratings are accurate. I can come off of a tournament round and somebody say, "How'd you shoot?" And I say, "That's pretty good. I'd gave probably 10, 15, 10, 20, and usually pretty close to another guy that doesn't really care for the forehand."
You know what the mess up part about that is? Eric's got a pretty good
I've
forehand.
seen it. I've seen
Yeah.
it for
He
years.
doesn't throw a lot in tournaments, but he'll bust it out in casual play. Sick, big forehands with like flippy discs and just really nice touch
Mm-hmm.
forehands and stuff. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
Back to,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
But I agree with ratings too. I feel like, I mean, I don't play enough these days to, be consistently shooting a specific rating, but I do feel like I can come off the course and say if I shot, above or below or right around my rating.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about this other gal in the slide?
I think she's gonna be good too because she's super young, right?
Yeah, she just graduated.
Okay, so like 18, 19, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So if you're
Um,
if you're listening, we're talking about cadence.
yeah, and I mean I've only really seen her in the last handful of events. And I think you can tell her from her demeanor, she like takes herself very seriously. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I do think sometimes that can hold you back a little bit when you're trying to get to the next level because it does kind of mess with your head. Um, but she's got all the skills. I think if she just maybe goes a little easy, I think Val used to be the best representative of just even keel on the course,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Kristen really represents that these
Mm-hmm.
days. And you just see it in those girls that are just that next level. They can keep their mental game on a certain keel that I think just helps them stay consistent and keep in it. So
And in my book, that next level is four gals. We're looking at Kristen. We're looking at Holland Hanley. She's
mhm.
the only one I think that has a little bit of problem keeping it even keel. Missy Gannon And I think Silva's moved into that top four. Those are the four that I'm expecting to be pushing for the win tomorrow. And I think Cadence is that next level just below, not quite there yet,
Mm-hmm.
but darn near. And I think her performance last weekend just showed that perfectly. She was tied for the lead after the second round.
Right.
And then going into the third and final round, she had a pretty poor start. I mean, these other gals just left her in the front nine. And when it was over for her, and I'm guessing she was no longer worried, she destroyed the back nine. She
Mm-hmm.
is really, really good. And, of those four gals, three of them have a skill that's just super important in disc golf. And I'm kind of excited to hear your take on this. They're three of the best putters.
Mm-hmm.
And if Evelina could putt like these other gals, forget about it,
I
right?
mean, and Evelina can. We've seen her do it. She just has those moments where those yips sneak in and kind
Mm-hmm.
of just crumbles it to pieces, but she's got it. She just gotta, get over that hump of those yips kicking in.
I mean, she won a world title with not great putting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't feel like she putted great in that Worlds.
I think it was like 50%. It
Hmm.
was it was something bad. So, but yeah, that next level is coming up. In that second tier, I would put Cadence, like we said. I would put, for some reason, Paige Pierce is in that second level, which is crazy to me because there was a time that I thought she was going to be the greatest female disc golfer I've ever seen, and I think breaking her leg broke her confidence a little bit, and I think she's maybe got some other things going on with her to keep her from getting back up there. But
Yeah,
man, I wish she was.
I think her priorities in life maybe have shifted a little bit from what they were in the past when she was just, hardcore touring for all those years. And I mean, that's such a lifestyle. When you get a taste of maybe having a little bit of a home base and,
Mm-hmm.
maybe settling down with a partner, I think it can be
Yeah.
a little different. But it wasn't that long ago that I think I was telling Eric, like, I remember when Missy was coming up and her and Paige were like this. And I remember thinking, like, Missy's good and she's getting better, but she's never going to surpass Paige.
Yeah.
Now it's happened. You know what I mean? Like, Missy's at a level that Paige isn't quite consistently hitting these days. And it's pretty cool to see just what, sticking with it and putting in the work can do.
Well, what Missy has is what you talked about, just that cool, calm demeanor and
Mm-hmm.
never really hurting herself. And that's what gets Paige in a little bit of trouble now. Is she has that same aggressive style that she had when she was the best in the game, and
Mm-hmm.
that bites her a little bit. Who would you call the GOAT of women's disc golf?
Well, Kristen got the first like Grand Slam, right? That's pretty cool. Like, as no one's done that. Like Val or like Des in their prime never did it. That's
Juliana,
surprising. And when I say Val, I mean, of course, Val Jenkins,
right?
DOS now, not that Valerie Montano isn't pretty dang good at disc golf. Speaking of good putters,
And did you see what she did the final round last weekend?
yeah, she shredded.
Putted
I
herself
think
right into it.
my favorite thing about her game is her like floaty, touchy putter approach shots. That's always been like the hardest thing for disc golf for me because I was one of those people that learned with discs that were not appropriate. So I learned how to like crank things over. But I was like, I did fairly good as an amateur before I really had to learn to like throw a putter and throw a touch shot. Once I started playing pro and playing some big events, I realized that was something I would kind of need. And man, I still struggle to do that consistently to this day. So seeing somebody who can just throw those nice little floaties from like 200 in and just nail the pin every time is pretty amazing.
And she absolutely has one of the most iconic shots in disc golf history. That shot on 17 at Waco a few years ago.
Oh yeah, out to the peninsula. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was just disgusting. And maybe there's nothing prettier than a perfect analyzer. And that thing
Mm-hmm.
was just, oh, that was so pretty.
Yeah, when
So
you really trust the disc and just let it do what it's supposed to do.
I'd thrown that son of a buck right in the middle of that lake. No
Yes,
doubt about it.
same.
So the weekend didn't go without any drama.
Oh yeah, I saw a little bit about this.
This was crazy, man. And I got Kona's whole Instagram post up here. Basically, what happened, I'll shorten it down, was there was a foot fault on the fairway. They only had 3 people on their card. She called the foot fault. The third person wasn't paying attention and didn't second it. The third person was Allie Smith, right? So Allie responded as well. She dropped out of the tournament. She took a 10 on that hole and dropped out of the tournament, leaving Kona with only 2 people on her card that had to get a marshal to come and finish it. Okay. And from what I've read beyond, Allie's having some her mom maybe was in the hospital or something I read, which is serious life issues, way bigger than disc golf. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
got that going on in your head, disc golf's, gotta be. So, but then Kona comes back with this. This is why no one calls rules, because you finally do it and you're made out to be the bad guy.
Right. I have some thoughts.
Yeah, let's hear them. I'm ready.
Well, so for one thing, Kona's totally right. I mean, the rules are the rules. We're supposed to be self-governing. You got to call them. Everyone's big complaint in disc golf is that nobody calls the rules. When you do, it's an issue and blah, blah, blah. But of course, I wasn't there in that scenario. And I think when I read Allie's post, it was something about like the way it was called, maybe. And the one thing that I think back on, and again, I'm not saying Kona shouldn't have called, but Kona even said, like, hey, I finally made a call and I'm getting attacked. Well, it was also said that this round was like terrible conditions. It was raining. It was like backups. Everyone's miserable. Like, is that really the best time to say, I'm ready to enforce the rules on my card mates? You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
I wasn't there. I don't know. But um,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do it someday, but maybe that wasn't the best place to say this is where I put my foot down and draw the line. And because I mean, if you think about it, she called the football on the one gal, and then immediately was like, courtesy football you, courtesy violation you, and that's the rules. That's what you're supposed to do. But there's nuance to this, right? Because it's a weird thing in the sport.
Is weird.
It's not a straightforward making these calls is not something that the way it's done is just not ideal as it is right now. I don't know what the solution is to make it better, but yeah.
And we
That's
don't
all
know
I
what the
can
foot
say.
fault was either. You know what I mean? Did she run up there and throw and pivot and her toe come through and hit the disc and move it like Kristen did a few weeks
Right.
ago?
Or did she
Or
slip?
did she slip? Or did she blatantly step 4 foot from her disc? And we don't know. If she's 4 foot, call it, right? If she slips in crappy conditions and you're already having a miserable day, I don't even know who the gal was and what she shot. I can't imagine it was great. But do you just, like you said, just go with it? Do you say, hey, look, maybe I want to tell you something. When you pivoted on your toe there, you kicked your disc, man. You might want to scoot back. We're gonna have to call you that. So yeah, and I think a lot of these rules are you gotta, each one's a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like Gannonburg got called for a time violation for the 10,000th time, right on coverage. And if somebody calls me for a time violation, it's going to be shocking to me. And I'm going to react with like, what, are you serious? No way. Cool, calm, and collected. He knew it. Now, and it was another weird one. He wasn't standing over that disc for a long time. So yeah. So that's the ladies coverage.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the men?
I mean, we can. You might need to. Eric, you watched the men, didn't you?
That's all you need to know right there.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Another Gannon Burr win.
Good gosh, this kid, man.
I can tell you who our household was rooting for.
Oh, we're going to get there. Don't you ruin it. So, no, that kid, 11 stroke win. He missed I put on the last hole and Corey Ellis banged one to keep him from getting the all-time lead over Macbeth. 1088 tournament rating.
Yeah.
He made that disc golf course look so easy. I don't think it's as easy as he made it look. I don't think it's as hard as some others, but he killed it. And it was the single greatest performance I think I've ever seen. I mean, it has to be. Rated like that, beating that field by that much. And
yeah, that was crazy how many strokes he had. It's, man, those tall, lanky guys, I don't know what it is, why they're so good at disc golf, but
he's something else. And I'm going to say, well, this is putting myself out there on a limb. I'm going to say he's the greatest disc golfer I've seen. I'm not calling him the GOAT because he doesn't have everything to go with it. He's won USDGC. He's won European Open. He hasn't won the Masters Cup, I don't think. Or did he win that this year?
Don't know. Like I said, mainly pay attention to the gals.
but he hasn't won the one that matters the most yet.
Mm-hmm.
So he strings a few of those together, and I mean, it's probably inevitable. We're probably looking at the guy who's going to go down for a while as the greatest disc golfer of all time. I mean, this kid's nuts what he's doing, and he's just a kid.
Right. How old is he? What? Not even 20?
Not even 20 yet.
Yeah.
So, but what's scary is there's probably another Gannonburg at some local course doing the same thing and, watching. Here's a good question from Greg. Do you think the players take calls too personally?
Oh yeah, especially if like in that scenario where you got some heavy stuff going on at home and you're already in like a bad state. I didn't see the second half of it. It went away, but
it's back.
Is it the comment going on? Okay. Oh, I can see them all now. Sweet.
Yeah, sometimes you're not going to get the call. And what do you think about the PDJ's idea of if the call's going against you, you're out? Like,
I haven't heard that.
In an out of bounds call, if it's questionable, you don't have a vote. It's the players on your card. So you can't go up there and say, you can go up there and say, I'm going to call myself safe. But that doesn't matter. If two other people say, I don't think so, your vote's no good. I mean, I think you can lobby for yourself. I don't think that's a problem. But you don't get any of the final say in whether it goes against you or not. I don't know if Eric's talking to Greg, but I'm pretty sure he's talking to Ronnie.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. Is that one of the rule suggestions for next year with the PDGA? Okay. Yeah. So how does that? Well, so like, so benefit of the player would still happen if, say, you're on a 5 card and two your competitors say you're in, 2 say you're out. If your vote doesn't matter, but it's still if it's a tie, it's going to still be benefit of the player, right?
I guess, and that's kind of another questionable term that's been kicked around a lot. What does benefit to the player truly mean?
It means if you can't make the call, the benefit goes to the player.
That's what we think, but yeah.
Is there different interpretations out there in the world that I haven't heard?
Could be. Well, no, I think if you're arguing, if you can physically see it, like the Adam Hammis on the line deal, was it in or was it out? And then that could be where they're talking benefit of the player versus maybe, well, I think it crossed up there. I think that's probably the one that's, or I don't know it.
Right. Because I feel like they're, at least in the big events, they're getting better about marking OB to where you're not going to run into as many of those issues where you truly can't tell if it's in or out. Like it's that close to call. They'll like cross it where you crossed inbounds, how close you are, things like that. I guess
there we go.
See that when it comes into play.
That's probably it. If you're playing a foursome, you leave one guy out, there can never be a tie.
That's true. So we would hate to be the tiebreaker in that scenario.
Yeah, you run over there
Talk
first.
About people taking things personally.
You race over there first and look safe. See ya.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that gets sketched too, because if you're on a card with your buddies, those touring folks are pretty dang clicky. So I think they can,
Yes, they are.
I don't know, that's something to consider too.
And we've seen some pretty good battles with some people who don't much care for each other. So here highlights the greatest performances at tournaments of all time.
I
Got
remember that
Rick.
Macbeth at the Memorial. That was like the first like killer round that I really remember.
Were you there? Were you actually there?
No,
You just
I
saw
don't.
it?
What year was that? 2013?
2012.
2012.
Yep.
No, I don't think so. I was still, yeah, that was before I started traveling.
But to be the top dog on that list is
Yeah, that's pretty good.
it's got to be fairly incredible.
And like
Okay.
you said, he's just getting started. So
We got to address some other stories on the men's side. This guy makes me mad. We had a survivor pool going. It's still going. I don't know who's running it. I don't know if Lucas is running it or I'm running it. I'm terrible with keeping records, so I think Lucas ought to finish it out. If he doesn't want to, I will. But I took this cat, Kyle Klein, and man, was I confident in him. And did he ever bite me square in the butt? Dropped out, DNF, got the flu, couldn't finish. And I was sitting on Calvin, and obviously Calvin would have been the better choice. I knew it too. Expecting a message from Ronnie here any second saying, dude, you're an idiot. Why'd you pick Calvin?
hey, you got to roll the dice sometimes.
Not
There
in
you go,
not in
Carter.
Survivor League. But I think this might have been the big story of the week. This kid, I don't know that he had finished in the top 30 at any of these yet. And we've seen him throw a mile a million times. I don't know if just having the freedom to go wherever he wanted to go on this course was the ticket, or I don't know if Eric sent him some tutorials the first week he was on the team. What happened? But what a performance.
Yeah. I think, wasn't he like putting for eagle on the last hole too? And just came up short on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's exciting. Eric's excited to have him in Emporia. I mean, it's gonna be good for the team. It's gonna be fun to see those guys go take down a national championship. Hopefully.
Well, they got to be in the running for the favorites, right? And Ronnie likes his hat. Ronnie's a big.
What's he got? Titans, Texas?
Yeah, Ronnie's a Tennessee guy for some reason.
It wasn't even close.
It's all right. Okay, well, let's look at a couple things, then we'll get into our picks. Here's what we got going on tomorrow. You don't have to tell me your pick yet. I don't want to know it. What do you know about these courses?
I don't. I meant to look up the courses. I don't. Wisconsin, I think it's like kind of park golf, maybe some tight fairways. I don't know how wooded it necessarily is. I know I've seen tournaments, at these courses before, but
you've seen this course with the light tower, with the
light, yes,
the light tower, whatever you call that. You've seen that. That's been on there before. That was a part of the Silver Series the last couple of years. You might not have seen the other course. I forget what it's called. But as I was listening to the presser today, not a lot of the ladies were big fans of it. Either one. They thought it was a lot of random extra trees in the way. They thought that it was too tight. And I heard the word gimmicky or sketchy multiple times out of them. The only one that was a fan of it was Haley King.
Huh.
I couldn't believe it. But I think she might have been playing devil's advocate a little bit because she pretty much said, this is real disc golf. So
yeah, well,
she was from here originally.
Mm-hmm. So that's gonna benefit the gals that got really good touch and the gals that can scramble is what it's gonna come down to in that case,
And like always, that can putt.
Yeah. I mean that's yeah, I'll always give you that.
That's what it's going to boil down to. Let's see what these courses are called. They are called. Oh, geez. Doesn't matter too much. One of them's called like Rolling Ridge is the new one that we don't know about, I think. Yeah, Rolling Ridge is the first 2 rounds, and then Silver Creek is this one with the light tower. So should be fun. It starts tomorrow, 4 rounds. I've got nothing to do all morning. I haven't even looked to see what time they start. It might be late because they got so many women.
It starts tomorrow. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow's a work holiday, so I can actually maybe watch the first round.
There you go. There you go. So, all right. Well, let's get into this. We call it weekly picks. You got to pick a stink, somebody who does worse than their normal average. And, well, you can pick whoever you want. But when I judge you next week with whoever else is on here, I'm going to say their average was this. They finished whatever they did. You got to pick a sleeper, somebody who's going to outperform their average. And you got to pick a shine. We don't give a darn about their average. We just care how they finished. Tight, scrambly putters golf course. So, since you're my guest, I'll let you go first. You can pick any of the 3 divisions. It doesn't matter which one you go with. You just got to tell me who and a little bit about why.
Can you give me the list back, or else I can pull it up? I want to, because I feel like most of these picks I'm going to pick from the top 10, top 15, which I'm assuming you got these guys. Yeah. Sorted by rating. So one of my favorite thing to do after big events is to go sort it by rating and then see who's got a really low number next to their name. That's, a lot lower than they should be.
There you go.
Just to see kind of where people finished, who maybe played well out of what was expected. Okay, so on a course like this, who's going to maybe struggle a little bit? Well, we talked about Paige earlier and how, Paige has touch. She could throw some nice putter shots, but you said it yourself that Paige likes to rip on some discs and take some chances. And so she may find some trouble on a course like this, or according to kind of the information you've given me on these courses. So I'll hate to say it, love Paige, but she may be the stink on this one.
Hang on. You got to stop there because now I got to do my stink.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
all right. So your stink.
What you got?
I'm going to tell you why your stink's no good. And then you can tell me why my stink's no good. I got 2 reasons why I think Paige is a bad pick for a stink. Number 1, Paige is an incredible putter thrower. And in the woods, if you're throwing
I even said that. I said she can throw putters well.
Yeah, she's gonna dice it up with putters and mid ranges. And in theory, her kicks won't be as bad. But that's not why I don't think she's a bad pick for a stink. Her average finish on the year is 12th place at Disc Golf Pro Tours. I think that if she finishes outside the top 12, she's going to have a very, very bad tournament. And I just don't think she can play that bad. I think she's too good. But we'll find out. Hey, I lost every matchup the last 2 weeks. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, and just because you can throw a nice sick putter shot doesn't mean you got a little itch to rip a fairway down a fairway. You maybe shouldn't be ripping it down too. So
you can only pull the reins on a racehorse.
Yeah. What level of extreme is she feeling? So
eventually you got to let that horse run.
Yeah. Well, let's hear yours. What are you picking? Who are you picking?
Oh, I'm picking a chick that I think has the highest or as high of a ceiling as any lady on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. She always disappoints me, though. She'll probably disappoint me this week by winning. I'm going Haley King. I think Haley King will have a worse performance than normal. She averaged 9th, and I had somebody different until I listened to that press conference today on the way to to Pratt, and the more I listened to it, the less I liked her demeanor and attitude. And yeah, so I think Haley King's gonna be my stink. Now,
Okay.
normally we snake this, so I get to go the next, then you get to come back in
Well,
with your
that's fine.
final.
I get to give my take on your take though first.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
please do. Please
Um,
rip her apart.
well, no. So the only thing I'm thinking with Haley is, she's taken a break from the tour a little bit. She hasn't. I feel like she played maybe a little in the beginning and then took some time off. So I feel like she's going to be well rested, maybe a little less frustrated than some of the other players with just the grind of tour. Um, and I'm hoping that, having a break and just living life outside of the tour maybe has put her in a good headspace. And lot can be said for a good headspace. So
Yeah, she's only played 3 tournaments. She's played MVP Open, got 10th, played KC, got 10th, played the Preserve and got 6th. So yeah, if nothing else, her body's got to be fresh for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For
So
sure. And she made some great points on the presser too. They asked her, a player of your caliber isn't signed up for Worlds or any of the European events. Do you think there's any chance that you might go? And she said, I won't really know until a week or so before, and it's going to all depend how I'm feeling personally. And hey, that takes a pretty big person to realize that, if I'm not there, if I can just go home and be happy, I'm just going to go home and be happy. Why do I need to go force myself to
right.
play disc golf? And sometimes I think maybe that's what happens to these people on the pro tour as well, is they have to go to these tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
They have
That shows you, yeah,
obligations to fill.
she's there because she wants to be there,
Yeah.
and that can go a long way.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see how she performs.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Okay. Well, I'm going to give you my sleeper. We've already talked about her. She's my gal just out of the top 4, Cadence. She averages 11th in the events that she's played this year. I think that she could probably get a better than 11th playing left-handed with one eye closed. Okay, maybe not, but I think that she's got to be full of confidence. She's got to realize, dude, I'm just right there. I was in it in KC. I was in it at the Preserve. I got shot. I just got to finish out the tournament. And I think she can legitimately even maybe win the dadgum thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one to go against, isn't it?
I don't hate it. I think well, so for the sleeper, because I kind of had like maybe a veteran player in mind that we
Well,
just
that's
haven't
fine.
seen.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because Valerie Mondahana, we talked about her, like sick putter, amazing, touchy approaches. But I don't know how well I feel like I've seen her name on and off, but
Let me tell you here how
okay.
she's doing. Do you ever look at Statmando?
Not really. I hear the
Oh my
stats when they
gosh,
say them on
dude.
the coverage.
It's absolutely amazing.
Is it pretty cool?
In 4 clicks there, I can tell you that she's averaging 13th place on the tour this year. And she's played 6 events. But she's a really good pick, by the way. Mm-hmm. She went 22nd at Supreme Flight. She went 25th at Waco. She went 13th at Open at Austin. And then she just got a string of top 10s. 7, 6, 4. Oh, you're going to beat me. She's a great pick, you son of a gun.
There's some other gals on tour that I'm like, I think are really close to kind of breaking through and really showing some good stuff. One that I've been really enjoying is Sophia Donachie.
She's good, eh?
She's from Canada, and she throws real far, and I don't know, she's a fun player to watch. So I could see her maybe. She's like maybe my more of up and comer pick that I think could potentially shine and you know.
Yeah, you don't want to put your money on her yet, though.
Maybe not yet. Maybe
she's
not
like
yet.
she's like Taylor, whatever it is.
Rosick, yeah. Another like athlete. Both of these girls are like athletes and
Hmm.
just
Yeah,
approach the sport from, I think, probably a lot more structured way than a
I
lot
mean
of us did growing up getting in the
Taylor is
sport maybe
probably
the way as we did.
by far the greatest athlete on the women's tour. She was
Who
a
is?
division Taylor.
Oh
She was
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
Division 1 pentathlete at Oregon. Oregon is, if you don't know, is like the mecca of college track, and this chick was on their dang track team as a pentathlete. So
Yeah,
she's
I
just a freak
remember
athlete.
I don't, just on like Instagram, I remember her just showing up in like my reels out of nowhere, throwing shots like well over 400, like at her home course or whatever. And like, oh, I'm getting past the like log on this hole consistently. It's 420-foot shot. And I'm like, what? Who is this? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah,
So,
and she bombs, dude.
yeah. So there's a lot of exciting up and comers that I feel like US Women's happens to be one of those events where those up and comers tend to kind of like cross into the next level. So
Yeah, I think it's going to
maybe
be a
one of those gals.
fun watch. Okay, so now it's back on you,
Okay.
and all we care about is who you think's going to win. Is your pick going to do better than my pick?
Hmm.
And we may have the same pick.
I struggle so much with picking the winner because I could pick like, I mean, I think it's gonna be one of those top three gals,
It
honestly.
is. We can take the
Because
cupcakes.
Kristen, Missy's just super clutch, and then Holland when she's on, I think she reaches like an unbeatable level. Um, I'm gonna give it to Kristen because Kristen's Kristen, like I said. But honestly, any of those three, it could be. And even own on a course like this, maybe distance isn't as big of an issue. Like we said, putting and just carving some lines.
Yeah, I didn't even think about going on, but she could be a good pick. She's so good at, well, she's basically scrambling the whole time with her
Exactly.
game, and she's really good at it. So yeah, I didn't think about own, but Kristen's hard to pick against.
Hmm.
I'm not going to take her though, just because it's too easy. She's either going to get first or second. She hasn't finished out of the top two all year. Did you know
Right.
that? Oh
I
my
did not
God.
know that, but it's not surprising. It doesn't.
Is that not incredible?
Yeah.
So, and the ones that she's lost, she's been there. She's been a hole or two away. But I'm going to go with the other gal you talked about, Holland Hanley, mainly because Holland's great both spins. If she's putting, she'll be really good. She does get a little nervy and throw some shanks, and that could cost her here for sure.
Oh yeah. On a
But
tight course.
yeah, the number one reason I can't go Kristen is that toe. I just think that's gonna cause some. It's gonna be so painful, man.
Not
Walking
gonna be able
four
to overcome
rounds.
the toe. The
Oh, dude.
potentially yes or no broken toe.
Yeah, that's just every step. So
All
yeah.
right.
All right. So that's our picks. Like that'll be fun to see how that plays out. So
Good deal.
that
I'll
only
keep
leaves us
I'll
with
keep our picks in
one.
mind as I watch this weekend.
All right. That leaves us with one last segment. And we're not going to change the name because the name's too good. Welcome to Big Deal, the segment of the show where, in this case, D Nice takes a deep dive into things that everybody is talking about, whether they deserve the hype and truly are a big deal, or are just a total overblown, yeah, big deal, bro. Get ready for some hot takes, sarcastic commentary, and a little bit of drama, because in this segment, we'll decide whether it truly is a big deal. And I'm telling you, this is a big deal. I mean, this is the biggest dang deal ever. What do you think of the duck?
Oh my god, it's so stupid. I was so sick of hearing all the dumb jokes about it. I wanted to mute the commentary.
Are
Look.
you serious?
Oh, I'm not I'm not trying to be like I mean, I can take a joke. I like a little what do you call that? There's like a term for that, like, soft commentary, something like that. But I mean,
So
the
you,
duck's fine. Whatever. It's a duck. It's cool, but they made way too big of a deal out of it. It wasn't that exciting to me, at
you see the
least.
size of that duck.
I
You
mean, yeah,
can't.
it's the biggest rubber, which and it's not even a rubber duck. It's a blow
I
up
know.
duck. So
I was a little disappointed in that for sure.
yeah, well, what do
So
you think?
yeah,
What are you?
my thing with the duck was
You're into it, aren't you?
I like the duck. I love this. I love this picture of this duck peering over hole 18 as
Big
Jennifer Allen is
stupid
buddy.
duck.
Just like, you're gonna miss it. Quack. Just giving her crap type deal. But no, I don't think the duck's a big deal. I like the duck, right? I like dumb stuff. We're disc golf. I like the stupid Jedi on hole 16 at the island. I like that.
Oh,
I
see
think
that I
that's fun.
liked. I don't know why the duck. Maybe because I don't know why the duck just didn't do it for me. The
Well,
Jedi was
hey,
great. Yeah.
the duck wasn't the worst thing that the coverage was having
Which
problems with that.
I love all the commentators. I'll say I wasn't trying to crap on those guys.
Oh no,
I got sick of
no,
hearing about the duck. Was all you know.
no. I'll tell you what was not good and a little bit embarrassing. And the first time I heard it, I was like, "What in the heck am I hearing?" Morning wood. Did you hear that, or was that only in the men's coverage, which would be appropriate?
I don't remember. I feel like I would have remembered that. But like I said,
Dude,
it's like 3.5 hours of coverage. So am I focused on everything that's being said that whole time? No.
it was like a paid ad. And the first time I was out in the garage doing something and I heard it and I'm like,
Did we talk about that?
Yeah, it was Morning Wood, WOULD, not.
what is it?
What is it? Is it an ad for something?
Terry kept talking about Morning Wood, and I was thrown off by it.
Eric says Terry just kept talking about it. I feel like I vaguely remember you mentioning, like, because I was definitely checked out by the time the men's coverage was on, but
Do I dare Google morning wood?
what is
WO.
WOULD, I think. Even then, you might get some questionable results. I don't know.
It's a supplement.
Oh,
Oh, it's good for you.
well, just like those like energy chews where the commercial is just like the guys all just like running around in a field.
Oh my God, it's $175 for a tub of it.
How big is the tub?
Not as big as that duck. I don't know. I'm getting out of here. It's trying to make me claim an offer. All right.
Yeah, see.
So, hey, that was fun. That was fun. You're going to have to come back again at some point in the future. Hopefully.
Sure, I'll do it. Why not?
Absolutely. So, we only had 3 viewers, but we'll see what happens online. Hopefully, we'll get a few more.
Well, we
I don't know.
appreciate the viewers, right?
You know what Ronnie and I always say about our Oz Talk? We don't care if a single person watches it as long as we have fun doing it.
Right. Well, it's good to shoot the shit and catch up. It's been a minute, so.
So yeah, we always end it with shout outs. You got any shout outs you need to give?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for shout outs. Well, I guess they have Meyer Lake Classic. About to go to Alaska. It's a trip. Man, if you can add it to your list, add it to your list. It's it's only an hour out of Anchorage. It's in the Matsu Valley. They got a ton of great golf out there too. I mean, Meyer Lake is amazing, but there's so much you can do. I mean, it's Alaska. It's kind of a touristy area, so there's all the accommodations you can need. You can go in any direction out of like Anchorage or the Matsu Valley and go to all these amazing places. And yeah, so
Sounds awesome. And I know Logan went last year or 2 years ago, and
I think he's went twice
he
now.
talks about it.
Him and his mom.
Yeah, I remember that.
Got to hang out with Mama Logan.
Yeah, that's cool. So, well, I got a couple of shout outs as well. I got to give a shout out to two guys that came in clutch for me today. Brian Dieterding, who lives in Greensburg, which is about 30 minutes from Pratt. He's an MA 50 player. And Craig Winters, who lives in Harper Anthony area, which is an hour from Pratt. We all met up there today to work on the course, is what we were going to do. And like I said, when I pulled in, the park looked beautiful. Brian came out of the woods. He looked like some sort of a Sasquatch carrying a weed eater. He was just covered in just grass clippings. And Craig had some big monster weed eater he was walking around. I didn't do a single thing today except play disc golf, and it was awesome. Awesome. I can't wait till Saturday. It's going to be so much fun for sure. And then I also got to give it up to the Pratt crew for everything they did to get that course in shape. It looks so pretty, and yeah, it's fun. A lot of fun, weird shots on that course.
Yeah, gotta love a good, fun, weird shot. So speaking of trying to get a win, you're pretty close to a milestone, aren't you?
Man, if things go right,
Eric's making a face over there.
if things go right, this is how it could shake out. And this would be like if the stars all just aligned. I could pick up a win this weekend. That would be number 99. That would be great. But then when I get my next win, it's the next tournament I play in Minnesota. I can get my 100th win as a world champion in MP50, and that would be nasty.
That'd be cool. So how come you didn't play Masters for Duda? You just wanted to go against the
There was only 3.
Okay.
Well, there was 4, and there was 30 pros PTO, and there was only 4. Ron and myself and JD, and I think that might have been it for the longest time. And then a couple of guys that normally play age protected signed up pro. One of them moved out of age protected. I'm like, well, God, it's going to be me and Ron.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I want to do is spend 3 days with Ron Converse Jr.
Ron Con. Oh man.
But so I just kind of weighed my options and thought, you win this, you might make 250. You get 3rd, 4th, 5th over here, you might get 300. You win it, you might get 700. And
yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
Logan took care of any shot of winning with his first 7 holes. He shot 6 down in 7 holes in a rainstorm when I was contemplating walking off of the course and going home, because it was not fun.
Right.
Not fun at all.
I'm pretty fair weather golfer these days, but
once that rain went away, it was beautiful the rest of the weekend. So it was really nice. So.
Good deal. Well, I hope it works out just how you're hoping it works out, because that'd be a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, the trip's going to be fantastic regardless of what happens. Ronnie and I are going to leave early, I think early Saturday morning, and we're going to detour a little bit, and we're going to watch the Des Moines Challenge. We're going to get there in time to – Ronnie got us some VIP tickets, so we're going to go and check that out and be a part of that for a little bit, and then probably drive the rest of the way that night, I guess. I didn't realize Des Moines was only like 5 hours from Wichita. That blows my mind that I've never played disc golf there.
Yeah, that's surprising. I didn't realize that either.
So, yeah. All right. Well, that was fun, Dee. I'm glad you came on. I'll share this out to as many places as I can. So yeah, I knew I had to have a woman, since we were going to talk about the Women's U.S. Disc Golf Championships. Who cares what a bunch of dudes think about that? So yeah, that was fun. I appreciate it. So
yeah.
All right.
All right.
We'll see you at number 66, folks. Laters. Okay, they should.